And before we move on to the next part and band intros, I did promise a joke. Are you guys ready? But how not ready are you? I'm okay. You're right. Okay, here we go. Why did Mozart get rid of his chickens? Because they kept going buck, 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 buck.
Welcome to Chatting with Casey with your host, Casey Palmer.
Episode 14. I don't want to talk to anyone, just give me the puzzles. Welcome to Chatting with Casey, the podcast that's all about family, food, fashion, and faith, and travel, and tech, and living up to our dad goals when they're presented before us. You'll probably notice a little scratchiness in my voice this episode, and what can I say? 'Tis the season. We spent the Saturday evening at a Christmas/Diwali/Hanukkah party, and combined with the GovFest finale I'd emceed the night before, let's just say that my natural baritone's seen better days. But it'll take a lot more than that to keep me from the podcast, because this is where the stories matter. Writing is fine, and video might be king, but this is the medium where stories are all we've got. For a storyteller, it's the place where you can do your work in the purest way possible, so with anything short of laryngitis, I'm gonna keep it going. With 5 years of fatherhood under my belt, I have a lot of ideals for who I want my sons to be when they grow up and the things I want to share with them to get them there. I want them to be creators, learning how to tell great stories and use mics and cameras to make them happen. I want them to be explorers, seeing enough of the world and being exposed to enough of it that they'll be inspired to have adventures of their own, visiting places I never managed to see myself. But something that's far simpler, yet in ways so much more profound than all of that, is to share the things that shape who I am, hoping they'll have an impact on them too. Video games, anime, series of novels about boy wizards and iron thrones. With so much media available in the age of infinite stimulation, there are things that I laud as some of the greatest media ever created. And when they're old enough, like it or not, I'm going to try my best to get them to like some of what I like so we can go enjoy them together. Some would call it ambitious, some wishful thinking. But I'm at least encouraged by seeing other dads who've managed to make it happen, like Errol Elumir, a husband and father of two who goes to my church and has a very interesting story to tell. Toronto goes through its waves of entertainment. Our club scene was still hype in the 2000s, board game cafes were the jam by 2010, and as we creep toward 2020, we're unofficially in the age of the escape room. If you've ever hit up an escape room, you might know why I love them so much. As a puzzle lover, being asked to solve a whole bunch of them while racing against the clock is irresistible to my ego. Now, since my time away from the family is carefully rationed with 2 young children at home, I've only gotten to try my hand at 3 escape rooms, succeeding at 2 and missing beating the third by a hair, which we would have beaten had the team disassembling furniture been as thorough as I liked. Surprisingly, we're still friends. However, with 2 kids whose ages are in the double digits, Errol's life plays out a little differently than mine. Tackling more than 240 escape rooms with his friends, Errol's a bit of an expert on the subject. He's even more of a puzzle fiend than I am, which is saying something. You should have seen how much time I spent on Reddit working at Card Against Humanity's holiday puzzles back when they did them. But he's even gone as far as to help build a 3-hour theater/escape room on a moving train, which shows you just how deeply embedded he is into the culture. And though I stopped by his house to talk about escape rooms in the standard Casey Palmer fashion, we covered everything from puzzles to parenting to our shared love for One Piece, aka the greatest anime in the history of the medium. Don't at me. But one thing Errol's never been accused of is being short on words, so we'd better get to this before it becomes a 2-hour episode. So without further ado, allow me to introduce Errol Elumir.
Good. Well, okay, it's evening here. I don't know what time it is when you're listening to this, but just know that Okay, let me frame this properly.
I had a guest tonight when I was doing my interviews, and then I didn't have a guest because he didn't feel ready for the podcast. So then what I did was go to Facebook, because Facebook is always trusty. And if you know stories from previous podcasts, you know that my Facebook is lovingly called the Thunderdome, because whenever I have a question, I'll put it there, and then it'll be 8 to 10 hours and 100 comments later when we finally get to a point where everyone can, if not agree, go away not mad. Anyway, so I found that I brought up a conversation that I had with my friend Errol, who will be coming on in just a moment, and he was free for a podcast tonight, which will be the first of 2 or maybe 3 tonight, depending on how long I can go. But yes, Errol, hello. Welcome to Chatting with Casey. How are you?
Hello, Casey. That's what this podcast is called.
Yeah, we didn't really frame it with that, did we? Okay, yeah. It's Chatting with Casey.
Chatting with Casey.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
All about fashion, family, food, faith, and tech, and travel, because I'm really bad at making niches for myself.
No worries. No, the sad thing is I have a podcast of my own. I'm not trying to plug it. It's
That's what you're here for.
Yeah, well, I actually don't listen to podcasts. It's not that I think they're horrible. I have done a couple. It's more along the lines that when it comes to listening, I'm really horrible at it. And that makes me sound like a bad parent and husband, but it's more along the lines of more of a visual learner.
Okay.
So if I were ever to listen to an audiobook, I will start sleeping.
Wow.
Yeah. So I remember trying to listen to the Screw Tape Letters.
Yes.
And I tried about 5 times, and then I just stopped. And I think, I'm going to read it. Why don't I just read it? I can't listen.
But what will happen when you try to listen to this podcast?
Well, I don't want to listen to myself. I know everything that's going to be said in this podcast.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair approach.
And usually when I edit any other podcast that I'm in, I usually listen for things like clicks or so that I can edit them out. So for the most part, I rarely listen to the content unless we say something bad and it needs to be edited out. So hopefully you'll edit out all the bad things.
I'm really good for that. So
Huzzah.
that's not a problem.
We're all set.
We are here at Casa de Elumir.
We're at my house. Yes. Oh yeah, I guess I should have said my name, right?
Oh yeah, well I kind of alluded to it.
That's good.
But hey, how about let's wow, this is gonna be one of those awkward podcasts where I just keep going in loops and loops over again. But okay, so I have my guest, Errol Elumir. Errol, tell these people who you are and some things about you so they know who I'm here sitting with.
I am a friend of Casey's. We know each other from church. And so I'm sad that your listeners are probably thinking to themselves, wait, he just grabbed some guy from church and now we have to listen to this?
I mean, kind of.
It's true.
There's other reasons. There are other reasons.
Well, maybe. And this will be a very eclectic kind of
100%
podcast. Yeah, that's good. So I figured I would fit because I could tell also from watching Casey on Twitter and Facebook that he's an eclectic sort as well. So I figured I might fit in with his podcast.
That sounds about right.
Yay.
Yeah. No, I gravitated to Errol, even though Errol's the kind of guy who, if he doesn't know you, he will just casually slide in and introduce himself and what he's all about to you. And that's
casual. Well, not even casually. I'll do it very awkwardly.
Okay, awkwardly. Not aggressively, awkwardly. And
with confidence. Awkwardly with confidence. If you didn't want to hear it, then I'll still keep going.
There you go.
Yes.
And I should, so to frame this for everyone to understand why I thought Errol and I would be a good fit together is he's currently rocking a Totoro shirt.
Oh yeah,
Totoro's
I wear a
awesome.
Totoro shirt every day.
There
Even have Totoro socks. Did you see my Totoro socks?
If you guys haven't watched My Neighbor Totoro, you need to check that out immediately because Studio Ghibli comes out with some amazing anime. So shame on you if you haven't checked it out. Another big thing that really drew me to Errol were escape rooms. Escape rooms, for any of you who don't live in Toronto and are not blessed with a city that has escape rooms. Basically, okay, it's going to sound bad when I describe it, that you get locked in a room for an amount of time and have to solve puzzles to get your way out of it. So if you have claustrophobia, maybe not your thing.
Yes.
But for people who, like me, who love puzzles and seeing how far I can stretch my brain to do them, it's a sheer joy. I love escape rooms, and I have 2 young children. If you are listening to the podcast and didn't know that, I have 2 young children. That's part of the entire Casey Palmer Canadian Dad brand. But moving on. So I have 2 young children, so I don't get out to see them and try them as much as I want to. I know Toronto is the kind of city where we have these trends and these massive waves. We started with about 10 years ago. We had board game cafes that really started to pop up when Steaks and Lattes.
We still have board game cafes.
We do.
Too.
Sorry, we still do. Yes, but that's when that's when I started really noticing this drive or this real yearning we have in Toronto for things that are not off the beaten path, but just different. Like we didn't just want clubs. We didn't just want bars. We wanted to have things that would have a different social character to them. And I think board game cafes led to other things, and then escape rooms started coming in a few years ago, I think, right?
2013.
That's 5. Okay, a
Yeah.
few. I was off by a couple.
Well, no. Sorry. Let me clarify. 2013 is when the first one showed up in Ontario. By 2014, then they started showing in Toronto, and then they exploded by about 2014, 2015.
Okay.
And so they're still going.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think it still has a ways ahead of it, only because there's only so many people you can get in and out of an escape room place every day.
Well, it's interesting. They are still going. There are still new escape rooms opening up, but it has slowed down.
Okay.
So in 2014, I do believe, I have to look at my timeline again. I forget everything. It suddenly went from like 3 to like 20 facilities, and then it just kept growing. And so now, I think at its heyday, there used to be like 64, but now we're down to 40 facilities. So not escape rooms. Yeah. So there aren't as many as there used to be.
Okay.
But there are still a few, but they're not popping up as often as it used to. But there's still a lot of them, especially if you go to the Ontario or GTA. There's a lot of escape rooms.
And how did you get into the entire scene?
Wow, I really like games. I like adventure games.
That's probably the purest and best reason ever. I just like it.
Well,
There's something I like.
I like things. It's when you first brought up board game cafes. The funny thing is, when it first opened in Toronto, I was there.
Okay.
And it was amazing, right? And I spent 14 hours
on the first time you went?
Or maybe it was 12. I can't remember.
Those are both double-digit numbers. I just need you to know that. Like, either way, that's a large stretch of time. Wow.
It was really long. I was super excited, and we went with my friends, and it was the first day or something, maybe within the first week. I went in, we played lots of games. I only played $5. I thought that was amazing. We could stay there the whole time. Then I spent all my money on food because we stayed there for so long.
Of course, you got to eat sometime.
Yeah, and I think it was supposed to close at 12, and it didn't because we were all still there. We were there until 2. It was amazing.
Did they not even have a liquor license then? That would be first week. They wouldn't have had a liquor license yet.
They didn't.
Oh my gosh, you guys are... It's good to have a good set of friends who can entertain themselves for 12 to 14 hours.
I'm a very hardcore eclectic person, so...
I am so heartwarmed by just knowing that alone. That's amazing.
I haven't shown you my board game closet yet. But I had to stop. So the interesting thing about board games is that you start into board games and you start buying things. Then you realize you can't keep that going. So you find friends that will keep buying it. So I'm now onto my 3rd set of friends that constantly buys board games. It's amazing. And so my current board game, I mean, I have a lot of board game friends, but I keep finding people that just start buying everything. So I'm on to the 3rd person who just loves board games, and she's buying Kickstarter after Kickstarter.
Oh my gosh, Kickstarter is, it's not. I won't say it's not the devil. I need to guys kind of put this together here. Kickstarter, I find here's my entire timeline as my relationship with, let's say, consumer goods. I got to a point where I was just kind of like, you know what? I think I bought all the things I need to buy. Mm-hmm. There's not really anything I see in the stores. I was walking through the Eaton Center. I'm like, I don't need anything. I'm good. Kickstarter will change all that. Kickstarter. Oh my goodness. Like the number of things I've got off Kickstarter, I didn't even know existed before, where I have these discs that are coming in, like these little, I don't even want to, they're like almost donut shapes.
Donut shapes.
Like black donut shapes. But what they are like they
sound like a CD.
No, they're like a donut.
Oh, okay.
Like a donut size type thing. And what they'll do is they'll automate sliding and rotating functions for your camera, so you can do video stuff on your own.
I've seen that. I've seen that. Yeah,
oh my God.
Yeah.
I couldn't hold back. I was just like, that's amazing. I need it now. And then
it looks weird. It doesn't look like something that will hold a camera. No, but it does all that stuff. Yeah.
But I looked at all their entire history of like being able to mount things onto them and kind of bear the weight. And they have a really good track record with very low complaints from anyone. So I was like, this is going to take up all my time.
I get excited when I see a gimbal or anything like that. Look how smooth. It's so smooth. And I'll just walk around and video nothing just to see the smoothness.
My gimbal is at home just crying. My 2 gimbals. Yeah, Sarah, don't listen to this. You don't want to know all the tech that's in my desk. It's bad.
Yes.
But Kickstarter, Yeah. So I can understand from a gaming side, because I have friends who have invested a number of different games on Kickstarter. I actually haven't yet, only because with kids as young as I have, I don't really find that games are as complex as I want them to be. I actually played a rousing game of Hoot Owl Hoot before I left the house. And even then, we didn't get through the full beginner game because my kids just started grabbing cards from everywhere. And, you know, the rules went out the window really quick. We did win. It is a cooperative game, and we did win it. But I have no grand aspirations for my gaming at home for a number of years yet.
Yes. When they become teens, though, then they'll start. I actually started my eldest daughter at around 9 on one of the more complex games. And it was great because there was a family version. It was Agricola.
I was going to say, that's a really complex game.
Yes. But I started her on the family version. So by 2 years, she was able to advance to the real version, and then she
at 11.
Yeah. So, but she loved it. She has her own copy because she thought it was amazing, and now she's one of my regular board game buddies, and we always board game on Wednesday nights.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
I mean, our oldest is in a Monday chess club at school, and he's in senior kindergarten. So they just come in for like 7-8 weeks and just teach him moves and understanding how it'll go. I'm not there, so I don't specifically know how it goes, but he goes over to the library at lunch, learns some chess, and
that's great. There you go. It's a hard game. So that's amazing. Anyway, you were first asked me about escape rooms.
Yeah, we're going to go on tangents all over the place. Like, I need everyone to know we didn't come in this with any sort of plan. I just I need to talk to people tonight, guys.
We had many cunning plans. We just didn't tell them to each other.
Something of mice and men, whatever. All right, escape rooms. Back to wherever we were in the story.
I loved escape rooms. So a friend of mine invited me, and I read it in a magazine first, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. They're taking adventure games, on the computer, and they're putting it in real life. And I thought, that's really cool, but it's really expensive. So I'm not going to go. That's a lot. And then somebody invited me, and we went, and it wasn't even that great of a game, but because it was so different than I had ever experienced before in my life, it blew my mind, and we played again.
Okay.
And then after that, we just kept playing as many as we could. We started playing one twice a week, 2 every weekend. We would go, let's go again. Let's find another one. And because Toronto started to grow and grow, we just began to go to as many as we possibly could.
And how many have you gone to?
There's got to be a number. There's a rule that we do. Is we don't do the math when we count up how many escape rooms. And amongst my enthusiast friends, I'm just the lightweight. So just to make that clear, I'm just lightweight. I'm only about 240 escape rooms. So I do not have as many as some of the ultra enthusiasts out there right now. So the most escape rooms done by a person, I do believe, is about 1,055. And then the next one down, there's a couple there, and they're in the UK. And we all know each other. It's a very small community of escape room in the escape room community. Wow. We pretty much all know each other. And so we're all so elitist too. Snobby when it comes to escape rooms.
Pinky up, drinking tea, talking about escape room.
Really? You called that and give me a break. It was
That's amazing. It's I saw that from a mile away.
It's actually pretty bad because, the thing when it comes to escape rooms, it's still a game, and there is so much research when it comes to game design, and a lot of people thought that because when I first did an escape room, it looked really cheap to make.
Yeah,
because the very first generation of escape rooms was this is a room. We'll throw in a chair and a bookshelf and a bunch of boxes with 3-digit locks. How much could that cost? Except for the brick and mortar aspect, right? And then they charged us $20 each. And so I thought, can you imagine? That's probably easy to do. But it isn't. There's a far more to it than just that. But it looked really cheap. But you can't get away with that now. Back in 2013, you could.
Right.
But now it's insane. There'll be lasers. There's set design that looks like it's out of Disney. There are all sorts of different aspects.
Walls and the worst turn into doors.
Yeah,
and stuff.
And the worst part is the maintenance of escape.
Yes, of course, because things wear down.
Things wear down a lot quicker because they weren't meant to be used multiple times in an hour. If you think about it, a flashlight wasn't meant to be used nonstop throughout the day.
So you have to have a checklist of all the things you need to run through and take care of.
A lock wasn't meant to be used nonstop throughout the day. So locks wear out, batteries constantly go, and people are vicious in escape rooms.
It's sense of time.
It is.
Give them like a time claim.
Well, there's a time, and then if you have that searching element, when you think searching, especially if you watch cop shows, they go in there and ransack everything and break everything, right?
Right.
And so we keep trying to tell owners, like, try not to have so much searching and realize you've given them permission to tear apart your room because you are having them search. And if you do, make it easy. Don't make it hard searching like you really want to hide something, because why would you do that? That's not in the spirit of a game. If you wanted to do cryptology, then I could understand, but this is not what this is. This is them having fun and playing hide and seek and not making it so hard that they can't find it. So there's all sorts of aspects to creating a game, and there are a lot of people, as I said before, who started up trying to create an escape room and not realize, with no skills whatsoever in creating any type of game. They just thought, let's just throw a bunch of things in a room and then we'll charge them for it. And so now we're getting to the point where there's an escape room design course that's actually
really,
you should see.
I wish you could see my face. I just like, oh my gosh, like that's a thing.
Yes,
people. Wow.
It's actually run out of the Laurier Brantford campus.
Okay,
Wilfrid Laurier. So there's a professor. His name is Scott Nicholson. He's like the guru of escape rooms in the escape room world. He actually has a course where he teaches about design principles when it comes to escape rooms. And I got a chance to be a guest speaker there, so that's great. Because I'm huge into puzzle design, so I've created 3 escape room events. And so these are large scale theatrical events where we would have anywhere between, like my first one had about, how many people were there? Maybe 40 to 60 people, and it was a speakeasy. And the idea was we hired actors. Well, that one we actually cashed in a lot of favors, and we sadly didn't pay our actors in our first event. The second event we paid, but the first event we didn't pay our actors. And then it was a speakeasy, and they had to go through all these puzzle events, and there was like a plot that was running through the whole thing, and they all had to figure that out. Wow. And the second one, we thought to ourselves, well, where else would the reason we did this, and this is just a hobby that we did, we just wanted to make sure we didn't go into the red. So this is not my job or anything. Right. This is just pure passion project, like you would do community theater, right? Yes. You can imagine you're not going to become an actor, but you want to get involved. So our second, the reason we did our first escape room is because we did large scale events. And the premise was you were at a bank and everybody was there. There's 100 people in this bank all trying to steal from it. And it made no sense. It's like, why are there 100 people all trying to steal from a bank? Right. And there were tons of volunteers that were there to help with hints. And so I thought, and they were all dressed appropriately. And so I thought, what great. There are NPCs, non-player characters we can interact with and talk to and maybe get some, maybe they're characters. And no, they were just plain hint givers that would come by and push you along even if you didn't need it. So sometimes they were a hindrance, but no, they were helpful. So that was great. Okay. And so when we did that, in the end, we were kind of a bit disappointed because it really all it was just doing a bunch of paper puzzles at a table and periodically getting up to look at the wall because there's some puzzles on the wall. Huh. And now there's something in Toronto, which is cool if anybody's interested, called Puzzle Pint. Have you heard of Puzzle Pint? Puzzle Pint is this organization that happens basically they're around the world, mostly in North America, but every month they hold a fun, everybody gets together and does paper puzzles, and they can range between easy to hard. Okay. And they don't tell you the location. You have to solve a puzzle to find the location, but it's a really easy puzzle. Yeah. And if you can't solve it, they eventually tell you, look, this is where it's going to be, And then what happens, you just go and they provide free puzzles and it's usually at a bar. And you can order yourself food and drinks, and it'll last for 2 or 3 hours. And a lot of people go and spend the evening. Happens every Tuesday once a month, and they just do puzzles. Wow. With their friends, and it's free. Huh. So when we did this escape from the bank thing, this is basically Puzzle Pint with prettier paper, and lasts only an hour. We get no food, and we were charged an awful lot of money for it. And so I wasn't really that impressed by that. It was cool. I can see it was hard to pull off, and we decided we're going to run our own. And And so we did, but we wanted to make sure that if there are going to be people there, volunteers, and they're going to be characters, they're going to be actors, they're going to have their own background, they're going to have their own motivations.
Okay.
And I also wanted better puzzles, so I designed some puzzles for that as well. So that was our very first one. And then the second one, and then we would also have a reason why there'd be tons of people at this thing. So it was a speakeasy where you have a lot of people would go to a speakeasy. And if anybody doesn't know what a speakeasy is, because I didn't know what it was until I did this Nancy Drew game that was at a speakeasy, and I was really confused. What's a speakeasy? And then I realized, it's during the Prohibition era when you weren't allowed to have alcohol.
Illicit drinking hole.
Yes.
Yes, an illicit bar where you go to procure alcohol.
I learned so many things from Nancy Drew.
Who knew Nancy Drew would be useful? Many of us, when we realized how smart Nancy Drew was. Did you ever get into the Cards Against Humanity puzzles that came out?
Oh, those things. I saw them. I did.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about, and they look cool. When it comes to puzzle hunts, there are tons of puzzle hunts. If you're familiar with what puzzle hunts are, there are tons of them that happen across the world. Yeah. And there's many of them. Okay. And a lot of them are hard and a lot of them are fun. Right. But they take up an awful lot of time. Yes. And the Cards Against Humanity ones was one of the easier set of ones. So
wait, really?
I think so. I could be wrong though.
No, maybe.
Have you ever heard of the MIT Mystery Hunt?
Oh, I have.
Oh, you have. There you go. So
I've heard. I heard enough that I never tried.
Yes. No, you don't want to. It's insane. It's crazy. MIT Mystery Hunt is really hard. It's super hard. You have people with doctorates and that are really crazy smart doing this thing and having a hard time because the idea is that you want to hopefully find that one person that might know this obscure piece of knowledge. Right. And when it comes to puzzle hunts, there are people, that have been doing this for so long that all the basic stuff for puzzles, as you can imagine, if I gave you Morse code, you would probably think, this is Morse code. I can find that on the internet and probably figure it out. But that's like child's play to these people. It's like, why would you even do Morse code? That's nothing to them. So as you can imagine, when it comes, there's like an extreme level of people who are really good and they make puzzle hunts because you have to challenge them in some way. So puzzle hunts can get very obscure and can get very difficult. When it comes to things like, I don't want to go into puzzle terminology because they'll just turn off everybody listening to this.
And then they all stop listening. Thanks, Errol. Thank you so much. Just see that dip in my stats going in there. I'm like, okay, yay.
So long time ago, I did this puzzle hunt from the UK and it was called Puzzle Donkey. And this was a long time. I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. Okay. And I thought it was amazing. I had so much fun with it. It was super hard. There were puzzles I had never seen before in my life. I was like, this is amazing. I wanna make something like this. So I did. I made something like this. And it was, nobody could solve it. And it's like, crumbs. I don't know how to do puzzles at all. And then fast forward, and I thought, I'm going to try and make another puzzle hunt. Yep. This is back in, 2012 or something, 13, I can't remember. And so I made a puzzle hunt. And I thought to myself, I'll just release it. And I released it on this website I used to have because I used to be part of a nerd duo geek band. And so it was just two of us. It was Debs and Errol, and I played the piano and she played the guitar.
You were the Errol, right?
I was the Errol, yes. I wasn't the Debs. And it was a fun band. We actually did really well because nobody expected anything of us. It was great. These guys are going to go up and they're going to sing about... Yeah. No, it was great. She didn't play the guitar very well. I'm not that great of a pianist when it comes to real pianists. But the fact that her and I could harmonize without thinking, all of a sudden it blew their minds. These guys are so talented. I was like, all we did was I sang a third above her. And all of a sudden I'm the most talented person to these people out there because they weren't expecting anything. They were expecting crap, right? So it was really cool. Anyway, so we did this. I did a puzzle hunt on our website. And I thought, and I had on my website, we were able to form a small little community of people. And so people kept coming to my website because I had a little webcomic that was going. And that's why a lot of people kept coming back. And so I thought I'd run a fun little puzzle hunt for them. Mm-hmm. And they weren't very happy about this puzzle hunt because this puzzle hunt was hard. But what I didn't know is that somebody in the puzzle hunt community found out about this puzzle hunt. And so he released it and told all the puzzle hunt people. And then all of a sudden I found out that everybody was signing up. I had like 100 teams sign up for my
sorry,
puzzle.
what?
Now, sometimes a team was just one person.
Yeah.
And other times the teams were like 10 people. And I'm going, who are all you people and why are you on my small little puzzle hunt, right? I didn't even have a prize. There was no prize to this puzzle hunt, but all of a sudden these people found this free puzzle hunt on the internet and they went wild. They were like, people, I sent the puzzle out and the puzzle hunt was structured so that every day for 2 weeks, a puzzle would come out at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I had people waking up at 5:30 waiting for this puzzle at 6 o'clock. And then I had stories, people like of their spouses getting upset with me because they didn't even get breakfast ready because they're trying to solve my puzzle at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I kept a leaderboard, and I stupidly, because I didn't expect anybody to do my puzzle, and I had to do all this manually. I had to like go around, see who solved it, put it all in a leaderboard. I actually had a lot of friends that helped me out, so it was really nice. Anyway, getting back to it, one of the participants says, "Do you know who the first player is? Who would always get first or second or always get first? Do you know who that is?" Look at, I don't know. His name's Onigame. How would I know who that is? He goes, he has a Wikipedia page on how many puzzle hunts. He's a puzzle hunt, professional. I was like, what? They're a puzzle hunt? And I looked it up. His name is Weiwa. And he has a Wikipedia page because he was like on the US puzzle team. He's gone around the world.
What are these things? This is an amazing world of which I just never knew about.
I know. Neither did I.
This is apparently why people listen to the podcast, everyone. Puzzles. So if any parents out there, if you think your kids are wasting your time with puzzles, think again.
Yeah. And there are all sorts of, it was a whole new world. And then I learned more about all the puzzle hunts that are happening in the world. It wasn't just the MIT Mystery Hunt. There's tons of them that happen around. And so that puzzle hunt was very successful. I was super happy. The last puzzle hunt I did actually was last year. It was called the Cryptex Puzzle Hunt. If you're familiar with what a Cryptex is.
Yeah, I've seen it. Where's the last Cryptex was it in the Da Vinci Code? There's a Cryptex in that?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know a Cryptex, it's a cylinder with different dials on it, and you have to get the right keyword in order to open it correctly, or else it will. This is so heavy.
That's a Cryptex.
Is that marble?
Yeah, that's stone. That was actually the final prize for my puzzle hunt. So I teamed up. So let me tell you a little bit more about the Cryptex. So what I didn't realize while reading the Da Vinci Code, that the Cryptex
is that Klingon?
No. I'll explain this more on that.
Okay.
What I didn't realize when I learned more about Cryptex is the Cryptex is a made up thing. It wasn't something that Da Vinci made. Yeah, it's not real.
What?
It's not real.
Oh, wow. Mind blown.
Right?
Didn't know that.
And so there's this guy, his name is Justin Evans. He thought it was really cool. So he just started making them for fun. And he started making more and more of them. And then people would find him and say, "What? I want one of your Cryptexes." Because, you're holding it right now. And that's a pretty solid device, right? Now, I've given you actually the fragile one because that's real stone in there. No. I'm not trying to say. It's just that the real Cryptexes that he sells for people to use as a security box or just for fun are actually
as a security box. Keep going.
They're not. You can't pick it. It's near impossible to pick it. You have to use a hacksaw to open it. And if you lose the code, then you can't ever get into it. I actually can't remember the code for that particular Cryptex. It's somewhere out there. No.
Okay.
There isn't. Anyway, so it's really neat because if you ever listen to his story, he's more talkative than I am. He's hilarious, right? And if you ever listen to his story, there's this long story he's had about how Dan Brown and the movie people really liked his Cryptexes and wanted to use it in the movie. But then there were all sorts of legal issues. And then, because he actually has Cryptex trademark.
Oh.
So it's actually, if you hear anything about, it's actually his.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, so he technically owns that term Cryptex, and he makes the official ones. And they're very durable. They're strong. You can see they're heavy. You can drop it and nothing will fall out. And
I'm not about to, but yes.
No, yeah. So I actually have a couple of them because he's a very nice and generous man. And so we teamed up. He and I teamed up with a bunch of other people in the puzzle hunt community, and we made a puzzle hunt online just last year. And I don't know how many people joined. I think last I saw there was maybe 400 people all came in because this was the prize. This thing cost to make. It cost them about $3,000 to make this thing.
Unsurprising.
Now, you really probably couldn't sell it for anything because, it's not like you can compare it.
It's a huge vanity item for
It
sure.
is a huge vanity item. And so what this is a numbering system / alphabet I made up for the puzzle hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like a, I don't even know what to call it. It's like a trinary numbering system based on, if you've ever played Myst. Have you ever played Myst? Okay. So if you remember Riven, there was a numbering system in Riven, right? And so do you know how that numbering system worked? It was based on fives, and by rotating certain things, you could. It's sort of based. That's what my numbering system is like, except it's based on threes. And then what you can do? There's only 26 individual numbers technically, and so I was able to make it so that it's also an alphabet at the same time. And so what people had to do is they had to actually deduce, not really deduce. I kind of told them because it would have been really hard for them to figure out how to work, but they could work backwards on how to decipher it. Anyway, that's what that script is on there. It's not Klingon. It's just some random trinary number system I made up. Anyway, it was fun. There was lots of people there. And it was cool because I really wanted to do it. And they thought I was mad, but I wanted to do it anyway. I did it all in the thing called a MUD. I don't know if you're familiar with MUDs. A multi-user dungeon. It's what World of Warcraft was, but all in text. This used to be huge back in the 90s and stuff.
So I guess everyone would have their own line with their usernames and what's going on and items. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so you know, have you familiar with text games? Maybe. Yeah. So imagine a text game, but there's hundreds of people in it all playing a game.
How do you?
All real time.
So I'm going to try and understand this from someone who has never done a MUD. So I guess if someone were to type a particular command or key phrase or something at whenever time it was used, it would unlock like the next levels or whatever was needed, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'd walk around. So we had a large world that they could type around north, south, east, west. Oh, you've entered the saloon or whatever. You're on North Street. To the south is a saloon.
And is there a different interface per player that they can see where they are individually? Or
there's individual people all in here. And then all of a sudden you can see Casey walks in from the east. And then Casey goes off to the west, you know, and different things like that. So as long
as you're in a particular spot, you can see who's coming in and out and what's happening in that room. Okay.
Yes. Gotcha. So what I did, I took an existing MUD that already existed. And it was because, back then, nothing was really proprietary, I guess you could say. It was a Java MUD, and I went and it was open source, so I completely changed it so that I could put in a cryptex, and then I could put in this large puzzle hunt. And it was mad. We didn't realize, okay, I don't know how many people are going to come, and there was hundreds of people. But because there was this overlying game inside of it, it was hard for me to predict what would happen in this game. And so one of the fun things, we'd have all these people running around the streets of Midgard. That was the main city that people were walking around. I've probably lost everybody on your podcast, so that's okay.
We're going to make this work. It's going to be great. I may have to put in an in-between spot where it's like, so for anyone listening, if you want to hear more about gaming, that's still what we're talking about.
All yelling out, nerds! Nerds!
I will make sure the show notes have like a good second by second analysis of what's happening here. It's like, and for the next 40 minutes, we talk about games. So just get ready for that.
So what I didn't realize that we had a system in there that there was a hint market, and you can get hints for puzzles if you had enough gold.
Right.
Every time you solved a puzzle, you would get some gold, and then you could use that later on to buy some hints. But because it was on top of another game, other people found ways of getting gold, and that was by killing creatures that were walking around, because it's an RPG. It's not MUD. It's like World of Warcraft. And so you could kill creatures that are wandering about within Midgard. And they were usually not very tough. And as long as you weren't violent, they wouldn't really attack you.
Okay.
However, people found out that some of them had gold. And so they would start killing them. And then they would refresh every hour, and more monsters would come. And there weren't monsters. There were cats and dogs. And sadly, a vagabond and some guards. And some of them had gold.
This took such a dark turn.
It did. And then eventually I was walking through the streets, And on every street, there were corpses. There was like, there are 4 dead cats here. It's just like, why are they killing everything? And then it was like, because they need gold and they don't want to solve things. And so they just kill all the animals that are walking around. And like, I've created a monster. This is Lord of the Flies. And now I didn't want to stop because everybody was having fun. So what could I do? And so what I did is like, but I can't have every street littered with the bodies of dead animals. And so I'm trying to figure out an easy way that I could clean all this up. I couldn't go and just pick everything up and throw it in garbage. I was a moderator, so I had.
This is all in text. So ridiculous. I love it. Okay, so you couldn't just go and type. Okay, you couldn't go in and just type in like, clean room by room by room.
No, yes. But there's like hundreds of rooms in this thing, so I couldn't really do that. So I thought, well, there is a creature out there that eats corpses, and it was a ghoul. And so I made him a janitor. And I thought, and then I was able to program him to walk the street. So he'd walk and he'd eat all the corpses as he walked. This is a Christian tech podcast. It's gonna sound horrible.
We're a little too late for Halloween, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work.
And then I made him also unkillable. So he's the only one cleaning up your mess. So don't touch him. So that after a while, the streets were clean again, and people could live their normal lives of solving puzzles.
Okay, That sounds like I got it pretty extreme.
It did. So I'll talk about something, less extreme than that. Cool. This is still all in tech. So it's kind of, you can think of it more like, Bugs Bunny kind of going around. And anyway, one of my third escape event was actually on a train, a moving train.
I was going to ask about that. So it's good you're moving towards this one because that sounded super interesting when you were telling me about it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So that was our third theatrical escape event. We were very fortunate to team up with the escape room facility called Panic Factory, and they're based out of it's near Oshawa, but it's not in Oshawa. It starts with a C. Curtis. Name's Curtis.
I've never heard of Curtis.
I don't know where it is. It's
near Oshawa.
It's near Oshawa. It's out there in Durham somewhere. Panic Factory. If you search for it, you'll find an escape room there.
My phone's somewhere.
Anyway, they're amazing guys. I love them. I love them a lot, and they could bring something to the events I was doing, which I couldn't do, is that they are prop builders. Oh. So they are able to build all these props and do all this printing and do a whole slew of things. And the props they made were amazing. So we were able to bring our experience of creating large theatrical escape events. They were able to bring their experience of prop building. And we teamed up with the York-Durham train. What are they called? The York-Durham Railway something. Yes.
They're usually associations, I find.
Yeah, they're a charity. They have these diesel trains.
Okay.
And it was great. It was funny because I don't think they were expecting people to buy tickets. It cost like $99 a ticket, but it came with a dinner. It was 3 hours.
Nice. Okay.
And you could buy alcohol on it.
Okay.
And so we were tasked with creating a 3-hour adventure on a train, and there were going to be 140 people on it. And I thought to myself, oh no, this is going to be insane. And the funny thing is, one of those guys, his name is Ray. He's a little bit like me. He just says yes to any cool thing he hears about, right? So he immediately says to the Railway Association, yes, we'll do it. And they said, it's going to happen like in 3 months. They've never made anything like this before. It's like, that sounds so cool, we'll do it. And his partner, Nick, his business partner, Nick, is going, are you mad? What did you sign up? It's in 3 months. We've never done anything like this. It's like, we can figure it out. But they have like 2 other jobs and they were building other rooms. And so when they first told me about it, my dream has always been to make an escape room on a steam train. And then when I heard they had a train and it was a moving train, I thought this would be amazing. So I joined in and we all decided to make this thing together. Now, getting to the point I was going to say, and it was really just going to talk about the plight of humanity, is like one of the aspects of our game is I like to do a lot of different types of experiences. And their role on my escape train that we had was they were kind of like hired, not mercenaries, but they were like a skilled Ocean's 11 team. Basically, they needed to go in and rob something from a museum that was in the center of the train. Mm-hmm. That was their job. Mm-hmm. And so everybody was hired to do this. I mean, that doesn't really make logical sense, but whatever, who cares?
Sure.
They're all there to do this thing. So at the very beginning, And I brought in a lot of my friends to volunteer. We actually pay actors now, so this is all good. Brought in a lot of my friends though, and I had my kids and my friends' kids, and they were kind of like donation bucket receivers. So what they would do is that to get into the theme of the game is that they had these red buckets and they would ask for donations for the train station, and that's all they would do. And it was just to go in the theme that, it's a historical train station and they want to get money. Now, we had fake money. They kind of looked like American dollar bills. And so nobody was, going to give or take any real money. But we tasked them to steal $2 from these kids because they needed that money on the train so they can purchase with the fake money other things that they need for the puzzles.
Right.
And so we told them you only need to take $2, but we awakened some sort of horrendous demons inside the spirit of humanity because they loved it. They just kept stealing everything. They didn't stop with the children. They stole it from other players. They were going wild. Some of them were good. Some of them, sometimes we would tell people, okay, put this in your shirt pocket or something. Yeah. And some people would go up to one of the guys. Oh, Ronnie, it's great to see you, and give them a hug and kiss. And he's going, oh, yeah, it's good to see you. And he'd turn away and realize, oh, my money's gone, right? Some of them were real good. Others were just vicious animals. I remember seeing this lady. She must have been 50. She was large, and she came up to this girl that looks like she's 10 years old. She grabs it and she's going, mine. And she's going, no, don't take it from me. Give it to me. Now, technically, they weren't supposed to steal in front of me. I was like a guard at the museum, but I was so shocked to see this exchange. I just froze as I saw this woman steal from a little child, and the kids were having fun. Some of them were going, what if we start crying? Maybe that would help, awaken some sort of sympathy. No. Maybe we can steal from that crying kid over there. And then they'd have heaps of bills. This is my problem. The very first run that we did, we made enough money to make sure that every team and each person on the team would have $2 just in case. No, we ran out of money because everybody hoarded money like it was the apocalypse. But not that you could use money during the apocalypse, but they just kept stealing and stealing. It was insane. We had to print more money so that we could satiate their desires. They went wild. It was that was a
I have no faith in the puzzle community.
Oh no, the great thing, this isn't the puzzle community, right? Because
okay, good. I have no faith in Uxbridge. I see you, Uxbridge. No faith. None.
This has opened up to everyone. And that was the interesting thing. I had to create a game that would be compelling for people who don't even know why they're there. There were a lot of people that went to this thing because people just signed up. Oh, there's something on a train with dinner and booze. I'm going. And they didn't know why they were there. They had no idea. And then so they were really confused.
Oh my gosh.
We tried to be very immersive with the game. So as soon as they came in, we didn't even tell them it was a game because they should have known what they signed up for.
We run it on things before you came. What are you doing here?
And so we started off, welcome to the train station. And now you'll be, and we started talking about the mythos of the theme.
Yep.
Basically, there was an archaeologist who had gone missing, and all of his discoveries are now on as a museum on this train, and they have to do whatever. So some person actually went up to one of the MCs and says, so what's happening here? And so she starts going to her spiel about the archaeologist, and then they stop her. No, we have no idea what is happening here. Why are we here? Because some people came because they're for a birthday. Other people came for a bachelorette.
So a bachelorette on a train?
Yes, there was.
Oh my gosh.
There was also alcohol. So there are so many stories. The fourth, so we ran this 4 times. The third one were the pilferers. They would steal everything. The fourth one was the drunken brawl. They all got drunk on the fourth event. I don't know what was happening with them, but on the fourth event, everybody got just smashed. And so in one part of our train event, near the final act, I broke it up into 3 acts. The first act was at the train station. They were there for an hour. That's where all the stealing happened. The second act is their dinner and all the puzzles at their table that they have to solve. And the third act was the museum act, where they finally kind of not break into the museum, they get access to the museum and they have to kind of solve this huge machine thing.
Yeah.
And there's a scene, like a cut scene, where the I should know the plot. How could I forget the plot of the thing? Doesn't matter. The bad guy brings out a gun and starts to threaten the owners and whatever. Mm-hmm. And so what happened is that the bad guy comes up, takes out a gun, and we're going through our scene, and then one of the drunk players jumps her. And she's cackling like a madman, because this is the funniest thing on the world to her. And she jumps her and tries to wrestle the gun off of her. And we're like, no, this is just a play. And so we're saying, no, get off of her. She's trying to like not have her take the gun away from her. This woman's on her back laughing her guts out, because this is the funniest thing that she's ever done in her life. It was a wild night, but in the end we all had fun.
Oh my goodness. So I'm hoping that this was the most profitable event for the trade association.
Oh, for the training association? Yeah. Yes. Not for us.
No, I can imagine.
It was a charity event.
Yeah, but for the trade association, it just sounds like I hope this was all worth it.
Oh, no, the train association, they wanted us back. Mm-hmm. And they begged for us to come back because it was very popular. Like, as I said before, what we didn't realize, they said, well, tell you what, why don't we open, we'll say maybe we'll do 4, but just to see how it does, let's just do 1 for now.
Right.
And then if it does well, maybe we'll open up a second one.
Right.
We said, sure, that sounds good. I'm good with just 1. So they booked the 1. And I think it gets halfway sold within the first week.
Wow.
I'm thinking, oh wow, a lot of tickets are going on. And then eventually I get an email from like one of the Panic Factory owners, and they told me they opened up the second week. They did what? They didn't even tell us? I have to book those weeks off. I don't know if we're doing anything. And I look at it, oh, well, I guess we're busy that weekend. They could have, maybe checked with us.
Yeah.
And so the first one sells out. The second one sells out. And before I know it, they opened up a third week. And nobody's telling us any of this. Nobody is telling us any of these events are being booked. And they're constantly being sold out. And then eventually all my friends are asking, oh, you're doing this. I want to go. And it's like, you can't. They're all sold out. And it was done without any marketing.
Wow.
It was just all word of mouth.
I need a lot of that in my life.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is amazing.
Oh, I know. Because we were struggling with the web guy.
Yeah.
Because we were constantly telling him what
Didn't even need him.
Yeah. We're constantly telling him, look, we need you to put this on the website. What's happening and what's it about, so nobody's confused.
Right.
But he didn't get to it until like a week after the tickets opened. But you're right, it didn't matter. It just kept selling out because everybody were so excited to do a dinner on a train. Half of them didn't even know there was a puzzle event. But everybody loved. Yeah, so everybody was really excited about it, and they had fun. Yeah. So in the end, people really enjoyed it. And the people that I did the project with, who are amazing, and all my friends that helped volunteer, they had an amazing time. So in fact, it was really funny because this year they actually did it again without us.
Okay.
And we got a call from one of the actors, and she was saying, so I noticed that they're doing another one. And then Amanda, one of the co-hosts, says, oh yeah, that's not us. And she goes, oh, okay. That's why you didn't tell me or invite me back. Because we now, because we've done this event so many times, we have a lot of actors that love it. They love doing it, and they love getting involved. Like a
real character that's in an environment where they might not get to interact with people who aren't like in the know or not there for like a play or something along those lines.
Yeah. So the great thing is Amanda Whitney, she's like my co-creator on a lot of my projects. She went and made the backstory not only for the narrative, but for every character.
Oh, wow.
For the main characters. There's huge backstories that the players will never see because we wanted to have an immersive world. Right. We wanted it to be believable. And we wanted it to, so that if anybody did ask us, and some people do, then we could not fumble our lines.
Right.
We would all know our motivations. We would all know all the other people involved from our character's point of view. And we wouldn't, because it's pretty much a big improv night after that. You might get jumped if you're holding a gun. So that's usually what we like to do for our games.
I feel like this is when LARPing really butts heads with the real world. And LARPing, for anyone who doesn't know, because I know my audience is all nerds like me, live action role playing, where basically you immerse yourself into a character and usually have a community of LARPers around you who are all on the same page, and you just go through scenarios or stuff like that. But the problem with as nerd culture has gotten more popular over time, it has started not butting heads, but like intersecting with the rest of the world who don't know about a lot of this stuff. So anytime there's a situation where they start to overlap, I find it super interesting because you never know what's going to happen. Like people trying to wrestle a gun in the play.
Yes. Yeah. And that was basically it. It's LARPing for the mainstream people, because we didn't really ask them to take on a huge role.
Right.
And they aren't interacting with, they're not supposed to interact with other players. They're interacting with NPCs.
Okay.
And so hopefully they won't get too anxious about it. That's one of the things about my events. I know some people, especially introverts, don't really like, not shy introverts.
Yeah.
Introverts can still talk to people, but it's more along the lines of those that are shyer. They didn't really want to talk to people, and they realized
I just want to do puzzles.
That's what I'm here for. Puzzles,
just give me the puzzles.
And so some people, after they've come to our events, realize, okay, we got to bring a talkative person that's going to talk to people, because I don't want to do any of that.
It's these realizations through doing things iteratively that you get to a point. It's like, oh, that didn't work the way we thought it was going to work.
Oh yeah, no, there's so much learning whenever you create any of these things. And a lot of our events, the first two events, we did like 3 performances in one day. And so we do a lot of planning because we know that we have to get it right the first time, because you can't change anything.
Yeah. Once it's going.
When it's going. That's then we're not going to do it again. So as I said, this is like community theater, and we have lives. So we have to go and go back to our normal lives after these things are done.
Jeez, there's so much planning. So much that goes into it that, like you said, most people would never see. But super cool. We have spent almost an hour
me
talking about escape rooms and how awesome they are. Are there anything you want to talk about that's not escape rooms?
Oh, it's November. Actually, when is this being released?
Let me think. I have one coming out. Yeah, mid-November, probably.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, sometime in November.
In November.
It is November.
It is November. I'll only bring that up because it's also National Novel Writing Month.
Oh, yeah, NaNoWriMo.
Yeah.
I think it's also NaBloPomo at the same time.
Oh,
National Blog Post Month.
Oh, is it really?
I think they run them at the same time. I don't know why exactly, because I remember I was doing it not last year maybe, or maybe the year before, but I remember there's a block of blog posts on my site from that time, and I'm just like, well, that's forced. But NaNoWriMo's happening right now. So have you done it multiple years, or is this the first time you're doing it?
Oh no, this will be my. Oh dear, what is this now? I started in 2007, 2009, something like that. Maybe 12 years? I don't know how many years. I've been doing it a long time.
Okay.
What are we on? 2018? No. So that's not 12. I've done it for about 12 years. So I also do there's an unofficial comic, a daily comic that happens that I do. And I've been doing that this will be my 11th year. Jeez. So I know I've been doing it for more than 11 years. Okay. I just can't remember because it's been so long.
That's all right. Time is not a linear thing, right?
No, it isn't. Now I have to admit now that I've gotten to my 12th or so year, I'm not doing it as much as I used to.
Okay.
So the first time I did it was amazing. I learned about it. I learned about it on the 23rd of November.
What? Okay, that sounds like this is about to be an interesting story.
No, not really. I just thought that was the most amazing thing on the planet. And I thought, it's the 23rd of November. Can I do this? Who cares?
Okay.
And so I did. I'm going to write. Never done it before, but I'm going to do it because this seems amazing. And I learned about it. This also shows you how nerdy I am, because I used to play a lot of StarCraft.
Yep. Okay.
And there were these forums where you would write fan fiction about Blizzard games.
Okay.
I was on these forums, and somebody there mentioned it a long time ago. So
one of the guests I've had on this already is a huge fan of StarCraft 2 to the point where he runs like events around it. And
there you go.
He was just at BlizzCon.
Oh, nice.
About a week ago over in Anaheim. So I am familiar.
Oh, good. And so I learned about it there. I thought it was amazing, and I did it the first time, and it was such a rush when it finally hit, and I hit my 50,000 words, and I was so happy. But I told my wife about it. It's like, look, I finished. Okay, great. Can we see you again? It's like, oh. I tell my kids, but they were young at the time. Never see you. So nobody else really cared. And of course, I don't expect them to care because who cares, right? So next year, I went all out and I dove into the NaNoWriMo community. And I went to all the events. And the Toronto chapter of NaNoWriMo has tons of events. They had a graveyard writing event. They write on the subway. They have they do all sorts of things. They do overnight writing sessions.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in Toronto that do it, and they hold a number of events to help with writing. So I've been on the subway. We bring our laptop. We just write it from up and down the Young Line and just type and write until our batteries die. And then we have to leave. And so there's all sorts of things. I've written a musical about NaNoWriMo. So I have a web series musical. It's like 10 minutes, six of them, all about these characters that are writing NaNoWriMo. So as I said, I also do that web comic. I got really involved with the community. I also got a chance to go to, because I used to write a lot of parody songs about NaNoWriMo. I actually have a lot of parody songs about escape rooms. It's very ridiculous. And that's why I offered to say, hey, you want a song about,
I'll take it,
about Casey? I don't know what we would sing. But yeah, and then, so because I've helped out a lot with NaNoWriMo, I did get a chance to go to the Night of Writing Dangerously, which is in California. And what they do is they have a bunch of people all help raise money for this organization. And the money goes towards literacy for kids in school and stuff like that. So they do a lot of different programs through NaNoWriMo for that. Okay. And it was great. So they have this thing in California. I don't know where, San Jose, something like that, somewhere
one of
in
the
sands.
There's a number of sands in California.
I don't know anything about
Canadians.
California.
Don't need to know American geography. We just take a flight there when we need to go.
And then we're stuck there. We don't know where we are. Anyway, it's also the same place that QuickBooks Connect is, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I was near there, and I got a chance, and it was great because all I really did that night is because I can't really write when there are people around that I could talk to. So I just took selfies all night with all these people. Oh, hey, I know you because I've been part of the community for so long. I knew a number of people, and I took selfies all night. That was fun. It was a great time.
Wow. Well, we can wrap this all up. Thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Casey. It's amazing.
Very
fun.
Guys, we're going to have to do this again because I feel like you have many stories within you.
I told a lot tonight.
I can get more. I will harness it all until there's nothing left. But yeah, no. After
what, listeners?
Okay. I will figure this out. But yeah, I have a good another like 18, 20 people to get through. So it won't be for a while. But we'll see.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Wrap it up. And
you should, because all the children and my family's home now. They're making noise in the background.
If you guys aren't hearing the background soundtrack, this is the regular life of the Elumir home, and I'm going to let them get back to it and stop being an interloper. Cool. Thanks, Errol.
Thank you, Casey.
All right. Bye, guys.
And that ends another Chatting with Casey, where I have a little less faith in Curtis, Ontario, and the horrors we're capable of when puzzles are involved. There was a bit I cut out to keep the convo tight, but if you loved my chat with Errol as much as I obviously did, you'll have to let me know so I can have him back. This convo was the proverbial tip of the iceberg, and I'm sure we have plenty more we could talk about. But that's it for me. As fun as a podcast is, there's plenty of work with my name on it everywhere I look, so I'd better go do my thing. And hey, if there's something you want to learn about, let me know. There are experts everywhere, and I'm sure I can find one who'd help. But in the meantime, if you like what you heard, do make sure to like, rate, share, and subscribe. And do make sure to come back next week when I chat with Rick Campanelli, perhaps the nicest celebrity known to Canadian kind. Have yourselves a stellar week, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next Chatting with Casey. Until then, bye-bye.
I feel right now like I felt when I first got into Reddit. And